Welcome back, everyone. The reinstated Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shaibu, on Monday made good on his vow to resume official duties despite opposition from Governor Godwin Obaseki. Shaibu said he had resumed and was ready to work with Godwin Obaseki as he inspects some ongoing projects in the state capital. However, in a statement on Monday, Obaseki's special advisor on media projects, Krusu Osage, warned Shaibu not to disrupt the process of governance and to respect the rule of law at all times. Also, it is rumored that outgoing governor of the state, Godwin Obaseki, has left the country. He was reported to have handed over the running of the state to a former commissioner. All this and other matters arising at the focus of our conversation tonight. And joining me from Benin City is Professor Wale Osaze Ozi, is the Attorney General of Edo State. And right here in the studio with me is Tony Daniel, is a lawyer and political affairs analyst. Gentlemen, good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us on Politics Tonight.
Good evening.
Prof, good evening to you. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good evening.
Right. So let me start this conversation from the studios.
Yes.
The election is over. But what's your overall assessment of the election? What's the impression? Is there so much to learn from that election?
Yes. Our democracy is evolving and we are learning. In respect of the deputy governor issue, he got a judgment at the Federal High Court, Justice Omotosho, and the judgment reinstated him as the deputy governor. And then there was an appeal. The appeal is subsisting, and while that appeal is yet to be taken, people mixed it up. There were actually two cases, and then there were supposed to be two appeals, but one was withdrawn. So the main one is the one that is challenging the judgment of Justice Omotosho that reinstated the Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu. And while that appeal is on, an application to stay the execution of the appeal was filed. We must understand something. An application to stay the execution of appeal in most cases is not tantamount to a stay. Okay. If it is a death sentence, for example, it will be tantamount to a stay. You don't need to get the stay pronounced. Once you file an application for a stay, it automatically stays the execution. Because if the person is killed, and you succeed at the Court of Appeal. So the law makes sense. It's not, it doesn't allow absurdity and, embraces equity too. So now in this issue, politics is playing out. There is a time limit within which Philip Shaibu will remain deputy governor. There is a time limit within which the current governor of Edo State, the outgoing governor, will remain a governor. It's just, I think, about a month or so, or thereabout. So if we keep saying, oh, the appeal is pending, and the governor is on vacation, Section 190, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, made it clear when a governor is going on vacation, as the Governor Obaseki has just done, who will he hand over to? He shall hand over to a deputy governor. Okay. But he has handed over to Mr. Eboegbe, who was a former commissioner and current secretary to the state government. I think there is an issue here. There is a deputy governor that was appointed by Obaseki. Absolutely. Good. Now, there was a deputy governor that was impeached and that the court reinstated, for which an appeal has been filed. So who is the current deputy governor of Edo State? There must be a deputy governor. The position is not vacant.
So as a lawyer, who is the deputy governor of Edo State?
The governor that has been reinstated.
The deputy governor that has been reinstated.
Until that reinstatement is set aside, it remains the judgment of the day. Okay. It has not been set aside. And moreover, the application to stay the execution of that judgment has been filed. It has not been argued and or granted. So the judgment remains subsisting. Because if you say, oh, we have filed an application for stay, therefore don't do anything, the tenure will soon end. And then there will be, the illegality will be accommodated. So we have seen some things happening in Edo State recently that is not too good. Apart from Philip Shaibu's issue, we have the issue of Okbila.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mr. Daniel. Let me bring in Prof, because he's the Attorney General of the state. So I assume that he has more to say. Prof, let me come to you because you represent the state government, a PDP government, so I can only assume that you're not too pleased with the outcome of that election. But many believe that was a reaction of Edo people to the years of neglect and several allegations of underperformance and poor performance by the Obaseki administration. First, how do you react to that?
Thank you for having me. Let me correct the impression your guest in the studio has. I don't think he has. It's not seized of all the facts. And it's misleading the public when he says certain things he's saying. Governor Obaseki, first of all, is not on vacation. I don't know where he got that one from, probably from social media. So let's be careful about that. He's not on vacation. A couple of days ago, he was invited a long time and has a long-standing engagement, official engagement, which he had to honor. And so there's an engagement that's just for a few days, so it's not on vacation. So Section 190 or no other section of the Constitution comes into play. When he went on vacation previously, he handed over to the Deputy Governor and gave him free rein to operate as Constitution provided. So it's not on vacation, so that doesn't occur. Yes, the second issue is that Mr. Philip Shoaibu obtained a judgment for the respondents. The defendants were dissatisfied with that judgment and appealed. And he knows, as a lawyer, that although appeal ordinarily doesn't operate as a stay, but once there is a motion asking for stay of execution of that judgment, and in this case, there's a motion for stay of execution of the judgment, there's also the same motion is also asking for injunction, pending the hearing and determination of the appeal. Once that is pending before the court, no party is allowed to do anything that will render, the likelihood of that application nugatory. So you don't do anything until that motion is disposed of by the court. A long line of cases. And, I don't start quoting cases in Vaswani, for example, in Ochuku's case as well. They don't have that motion to take any action. In any case, in your trailer, you talked about Philip Shoaibu going to assume duty. Now, you don't enforce judgment by yourself. You don't take self-enforcement of judgment. The declaratory judgment, what you do is that you get to the bailiffs and the sheriff to enforce the judgment. You don't just go there and take things by force. That is not due process. Once you have subjected yourself, and don't forget you went to court, once you've subjected yourself to the court process, you must allow the court and judicial process to run its full course. So you had no right whatsoever to start going there without enforcement by the assigned judicial officers who have to do that. Now, as to the case, the PDP does not accept that that's the case. From the results of the commission, the PDP won the majority of lawful votes cast at the election. It won those elections, and we're not talking from our own figures. The EC88, the results from the polling is given to the agents of the political party. The results at the World Coalition, RA Coalition Center, showed clearly that the PDP won. What happened was that when in some of the local governments, especially Ego, Oredo, and Kobaka, these are bounding the metropolis, Benin City metropolis, the soldiers were withdrawn for strange reasons. Soldiers were in parameters, the peripheries of the coalition center providing security. They were suddenly withdrawn. Shortly thereafter, the police came and said, "Oh, we don't have enough security. We have to." Not the police. They just came and said,
all right. Prof, let me come in here. For the purpose of clarity.
Sorry.
Prof, let me come in here for the purpose of clarity. You have just said that the governor is out of the country, is out of the state. So in his absence, who is in charge of the affairs of Edo State?
He is still in charge. I left him.
Who is in charge? Prof, who is in charge?
He is still in charge.
The governor is still in charge. I have state affairs. I left that meeting now to come here to honor this invitation.
What is the law?
And when I finish here,
Prof, kindly hold on.
I'm going back into that meeting. So he's very much in charge. He did not hand over to the Secretary of State government as being speculated.
So he did not hand over to anyone and he left the country. Is that what you're saying?
The governor is still in charge of the state and he's running affairs of the state. I have just said that I've left a state meeting now, an EXCO meeting, a subcommittee of the EXCO considering certain bills we're presenting for the House of Assembly. I just left there now to come to this interview, and I'm going back into that meeting. Excuse myself to come here. So he's still very much in charge.
All right. Mr. Daniel, what does the law say in that situation? Is it possible that a governor leaves the country and is still in charge of the country, or of the state rather?
It is an aberration, legal aberration for that to I'm surprised. Edo State is very vibrant, and with the utmost respect to the learned prof, I'm in litigation. If a governor, for any reason, Section 190, subsection 1, whenever the governor is proceeding on vacation or is otherwise unable to discharge the functions of his office, he shall transmit a written declaration to the Speaker of the House of Assembly to that effect, and until he transmits to the Speaker of the House of Assembly a written declaration to the contrary, and he has done that. In the event that the governor is unable to transmit within 21 days and all that, the deputy governor of a state shall hold the office of the governor of the state if the office of the governor becomes. So if the governor, for any reason, is leaving the country and there is a deputy governor, he hands over to the deputy governor. I'm surprised that my Attorney General is saying that the governor is still in charge, whereas it is a notorious fact that he handed over to Mr. Boybe. Mr. Boybe was a former commissioner and is currently the SSG. You know, let me quickly take us off this. There are matters in court and there are injunctions pending. Yet the state, under my learned prof, took certain action, whereas there are matters pending in two major communities.
Before we get to that, yes. I do apologize. Before we get to that, Prof, I see that you're shaking your head in disagreement to what Mr. Daniel has said. Because there is, the court had reinstated Philip Shaibu as the deputy governor of the state. But Governor Obaseki also has a deputy governor he chose for himself. So why didn't he hand over to Omabayo Godwin instead of you saying he's still in charge in absentia?
What do you mean instead of me saying? It's not a question of me saying. It's a statement of fact. Well, first of all, I'm not a professor, by the way. I did lecture for a while, but I'm not a professor. So please, I think I should properly address so that it's not mistaken that I give myself a title. Your guest obviously does not know. What does it mean in notorious fact? From social media, there was no handover. The same social media said there was a virtual EXCO meeting. There was an EXCO meeting on Thursday, and I was present, and the governor presided. He was physically there. He was also there. He met the judges thereafter, the judges of the Edo State Judiciary, who came to discuss the opening of the new legal year with him. This was public knowledge. He was there on Thursday, contrary to what he read on social media. So you don't take social media as gospel truth. You should get that clear. He read that section of the law, that if he is going on vacation, the governor is not on vacation. Where you get that from? He's not on vacation. He went on a state assignment, has completed the thing less than 5 days away. Yesterday was a public holiday. He's less than 5 days away, 3 working days away on state assignment. So why do you say he's not in charge? He's holding meetings. As I speak with you, there's an ongoing meeting that is being held now. So why do you say he's not in charge? He's not left the state in that sense. And he did not hand over to Mr. Boybe. Mr. Boybe is the Secretary to State Government. Things are going on smoothly. Mr. Boybe is not in charge. Nobody handed over to him. So it's misleading. We have been here. The president is out of the country. Did you hear he handed over? If he's going for a short, but he's going on vacation, so he probably has to hand over. Several times he goes for a couple of days. He does not hand over to the vice president. So let's be clear on that. Let us not mislead the public. Let us not talk with state things that we're not sure of a factual basis. It's wrong to start to speak on things that you don't have a factual basis for.
All right. Another question out there is many are wondering why the governor has so much controversy around him. Why is there so much controversy around the governor? If you listen to the Labour Party candidate, Olumide Akpata, who accused him of swearing in only 5 of the 8 new judges recommended for the Edo State High Court by the National Judicial Council. And some say he did that swearing in 11 months after recommendation by the NJC. Edo State people say for 4 years, Governor Obaseki has refused to swear in 14 Edo State House of Assembly members, thereby denying 14 constituencies representation in the State Assembly. Only 10 out of 24 were sworn in. Why is the governor in so much controversy? That's my question. Before we move on to other court cases.
Because he's doing things differently. Look, Nobody, I'm a student of history, nobody ever challenged the status quo without being labeled controversial. Nobody. And take any revolution, you'll find that people always oppose you. The status quo, those who are the Ancien regime, never ever give up peacefully or without resistance. When you fight corruption, corruption fights you back. When you try to change things, the privileged people will always fight. So let's take each and every one. it's not correct that he refused to swear. The governor does not swear in members of the House of Assembly. That is a job for the clerk. All he does is issues a letter of proclamation. And this case has been to court, so that they won't tell you that. The case went to court, and the governor was held to be correct that you do not inaugurate the House 2 times. He inaugurated the House, certain people came in, and the others refused to be inaugurated, refused to subject themselves. And they went to court, and the court ruled against them. That is very clear, and the court is the one, the arbiter in such cases. And it was very clear that, look, you do not inaugurate the House more than once. Once the House was inaugurated, that's the end of it. There's no need to issue another proclamation as one had been given. They tried to come to forcefully again take over the House, and that failed. They refused to subject themselves, and they didn't come for inauguration. It was a voluntary thing. They voluntarily deprived their constituents of representation. So it's very wrong. A lie being repeated and repeated, and it doesn't make it the truth. The lie is still a lie. Falsehood is still a falsehood. The fact was that those who came for inauguration were inaugurated. And after the inauguration, the House went about its business. They went to vote. They think they ran the business all the while until the term expired, and then another election was held, and that was the end of that. A few, two or so members contested again, and they got their seats back, and that was that. So ask any of them, ask anybody who raises that issue. Did the case not go to court? The court pronounced on it. And there's an excellent judgment of the court. The other attempts by them, they didn't follow up with their cases, and those other cases lapsed. But there is an excellent judgment which says that the inauguration was free, it was proper, and it was done in accordance with the law. That's a fact.
All right, AG, I'll come back to you, sir. Let me come back to the studio. Mr. Daniel, help me dissect these issues I just raised with the Attorney General.
Yes, you see, when you have a fact that is not controverted, you now try to look for a reason to justify that fact. Whether that fact is right or wrong depends on your own opinion and where you are on the pendulum. Back to the issue of the elections in Edo State. My own opinion that it was relatively peaceful and it was fair. And that is the general opinion. So the AG have his own opinion. That is one. Two, the fact is that did Obaseki work with complete set of legislators? The answer is no. So what he's saying is explanation why that occurred. But the fact is that that is the fact. That is the position. Has he also done anything that is against law?
Is that unconstitutional?
It's unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional. One of the reasons why we are not happy with the administration, I am among those who are not happy with the administration of Obaseki, is because of so many illegalities. I'm surprised that we are trying to defend this position here. What we are supposed to be doing is to advise the governor with all sincerity and objectivity that this is a wrong position, not come on air to defend what we know is wrong. Okay, how can you also defend where a matter is in court? There is an injunction stopping all parties, including the office of the governor, from taking certain steps. You go ahead to take it and try to justify it. Like I said, the fact is that you've taken the step. The fact is that their matter is in court. The fact is that there is an injunction stopping you from taking the fact. You now try to justify it. That's what with respect the AG is doing here. He tried to justify a wrong position and canvass the wrong position. The governor, he has told us now.
But he's also speaking from the legal point of view.
Yes, but I have said it's unconstitutional. He said there was a court. Look, if you talk to the persons affected, you'll be surprised with what you'll be hearing. We heard that the court said they should be reinstated. They were not. You know, you can virtually exploit judicial procedure to, impose lawlessness, to impose injustice. You will exploit judicial procedure. That's what we call abuse. You exploit judicial procedure to foist injustice on the people. That is what Governor Obaseki has done. So if he tries to justify that he's wrong, he has told us now that Governor Obaseki did not travel. I'm surprised. And that he has attended an executive council meeting. I'm surprised. If he has come back because he noticed that Philip Shaibu is trying to return to the State House, let us know.
All right. Let's talk about the office of the Deputy Governor, which I believe is created by the Constitution. Why is this subordinate to the office of the Governor in this part of the country?
That is how it is, not only in this part of the country. The Governor is the principal, and the Deputy Governor has its own constitutional role, but he acts based on the instructions and delegations of power from the governor. You can see the collaboration between the President of Nigeria and the Vice. There's no issue, at least to the best of our knowledge. So, but if you watch Ondo State, they had similar issue, the Deputy Governor and the Governor and all that when he was sick. If you look at Goodluck Jonathan's time, When Yaradua, blessed memory, was the president and he was sick, we had the same issue. He didn't hand over reign of powers and all that until the masses started protesting. But I'm happy if the governor is around, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, if he's in the state, then it's okay. We shouldn't be talking about transmission of power. Attorney
General, let me come back to you because on this particular program, about a week ago, former Commissioner for Information, Barrister Andrew Mwanta, was here on Politics Tonight. He has called on the EFCC to question Governor Obaseki over several cases of embezzlement of funds. He raised a lot of issues. He alleged that Asa Godalo's running mate, who was former SSG, Osarodion Ogie, I hope I pronounced that correctly, is the sole administrator of Edo State Oil and Gas Commission. He says he and Governor Obaseki are the two individuals who control money meant for oil-producing communities. He said both men decide the contractors without a board. Tonight, Nigerians are listening. How do you defend this allegation?
Well, there are lots of issues here. Let me just quickly digress for answering that to the guests in the studio. He's asking us to go and ask people things. I have told him there's a judgment. He has not bothered to go and find out more, enlighten and educate himself about the judgment. He's asking you to go and ask people. There is a judgment. Let's deal with facts. He deals with that. And obviously, don't put words into my mouth. I'm more than capable of understanding and speaking the English language, so that I will say the things I mean. And he's summarizing the words I said and imputing things I have not said. As to the Mr. Nwata, and he says he has grounds, so you see where he's coming from. Mr. Nwata also has his grounds. Mr. Nwata was appointed initially into the State Executive Council. When State Executive Council was dissolved, he was not appointed back to the council. So, and he's never heeded his game, and he's very unhappy about that. So we know where he's coming from. And when he called on the EFCC, there's a process. You write to the EFCC. They have a right to investigate. Immunity does not cover non-investigation. And a lot of these people I've watched are treading the path of defamation, libeling people using all sorts of platforms. I want to be very careful about that. If he feels there are strong grounds for which anybody should be investigated, then he should write a petition, back with the facts, back with an affidavit, so that the investigation can be undertaken. So that is what I really want to say about that. Is after Mr. Obaseki feels he has done no wrong, we have seen no wrong like he's done, and that is what it is. Anybody who has facts should refer to the appropriate authorities.
Would you like to answer that?
Well, we will not know the correct position until when the immunity that the governor is currently enjoying is taken off constitutionally. And that will be when facts will start coming out. I am aware of disaffection against the governor by majority of Edo indigenes. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of various complaints. I don't want to speculate, but I know that by the time the governor leaves office, he's no longer under any immunity. People will come up with facts and evidence. And I think the EFCC will be waiting to investigate.
There are more allegations. He also alleged that Governor Obaseki's PA...
If I quickly respond to that.
All right.
Guests ought to know, as a lawyer, ought to know that immunity does not cover investigation. That has been pronounced upon by the Supreme Court. So the agencies are free to investigate. And in the case of Bola Tinubu, while he was governor of Lagos State, that case went up to the Supreme Court and it was very clearly stated there. I don't also, you see, he says he doesn't deal with speculation. Then he speculates that the majority of people don't agree with what Mr. Obaseki is doing. And that is why the things are way. I'm not too sure where he got his statistics from. On the contrary, everywhere Mr. Obaseki goes, he's hailed, his achievements are there for all to see. I cannot wake up a person who's pretending to be asleep. But if you're genuinely asleep, I can wake you and show you things and point to things for you. I don't know whether he resides in Edo or whether I spent time in Edo. You will have seen the landmark achievements of Mr. Obaseki and his administration. Furthermore, I think it was a vote of confidence. That is why the majority of votes cast at this last election were actually for his party. You know, I'm using the IREP results. I'm using the ECHA polling unit results very, very clearly, and people are very. The mood in the state is somber because of the declaration, whereas the person who's called the majority of local votes was not declared. Now, when the other party was declared, there's somber mood apart from thoughts. You would say, go there now, carry out a scientific poll, and you'll see what the people are saying. So I beg to disagree with him. is basing on emotions, not on science or facts.
All right, Prof. Mr. Daniel, when you hear Prof say immunity does not protect you from being investigated, how debatable is that?
Conventionally, why do you remove persons in office to enable you to investigate the person? Even those that don't have immunity, you remove them. Why was the governor removed of the central bank? To enable investigations. Because when the person is there, there is no way we will not frustrate investigation. Most of the governors that have been sent to jail, that have been investigated successfully by EFCC, it was after they left office that it was done. And then let me quickly come back that the majority of votes that PDP got, it was because of the personality of their candidate. He got that vote himself. If Obaseki has brought another person, because we all know Aswe, he's a nice man, it's unfortunate that he came through. If not for PDP, me, I would have voted for Aswe. A lot of people would have voted for him. But it was Obaseki that made him to lose. I'm telling you, that majority vote, that the vote he got is because of his personality and his person. He's well respected, even though he has lost this vote. We respect him so much. So the AG should not defend what is not defendable. My position is that Obaseki failed in the administration of governance in his term. And I want to even take it up with our comrade Oshomole, because he was the one that sold Obaseki to us. You understand? And he was the one that sold Obaseki to us, because if he has not come to convince us to vote Obaseki, we won't vote him. We will not vote him. So my take is that the administration at this tail end has been doing a lot of illegalities. Major towns, Okpela. The second town, South Ibie Kingdom. Matters are in court. There is subsisting injunction, stopping you from taking certain action. You took the action, and again, the AG tried to defend it. Oh, we are referring to Supreme Court judgment. There is a judgment right now. Go and set it aside. You cannot say you are not aware of the judgment, because you have applied to set aside some of the judgment. And your application to set aside the judgment, I'm not mistaken. I mean, order of court restraining you and the government from taking certain steps. You took those steps. Of course, like I predicted in this same station, that Philip Shaibu will be reinstated when he was impeached. I am predicting that most of these actions that have been taken, the court will reverse.
All right, but Mr. Daniel, you said that election was relatively peaceful. So would you attribute that to heavy security presence?
Yes, we must commend the IG for suspending the operations of the Edo Security Network and Vigilante for the purpose of that election. It was in Edo State. The chief security officer of Edo State is the governor. A deputy governor and a gubernatorial candidate were attacked in the daylight. No arrest was made. So it was a nice one from the IG suspending them. Then I must commend Frank Uba. You know, Frank Uba has been in a public media publicity of the police protocols, operations, so he has experience. He was able to handle security. He took the fight to those who were planning to come and cause breach of peace. Right. He didn't wait for them to cause it and start arresting them. He took it to them and he prevented them. And you see how he politely got the governor to leave the office of INEC in the heat of time. That's a very bad precedent. I want to commend him for that again.
All right, Eji, let me come to you. We're wrapping up in a minute. So would you like to react to everything Mr. Daniel had said in the last few seconds?
Mr. Daniel doesn't speak law. Unfortunately, he doesn't speak to facts. He doesn't speak to law. So that is the disappointing thing about his own position. You know, and it's difficult for me to react to sentiments and opinions. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but when you start going to facts, that's when I'll react to you. As for the governor went to the collation center, went something untoward was happening. The candidate went there. Unfortunately, they worked out a candidate, which is illegal, which is contrary to law. And by the way, the Inspector General said he suspended the operation, but he clarified that because he has absolutely no power to suspend any outfit like the Edo Vigilante set up by law. He recognized that and he explained it. If only you not read social media but go to mainstream news items, you'll see the clarification preferred by the Inspector General of Police. He said police is the lead agency in election security, and these people are not generally involved in election security, which is true. Federal agencies are part of the Interagency Committee on Election Security, and these are the people that historically have been used, not by law, but historically they have been used as providing security to the to the electoral process. So that's what it is, basically.
Sadly, we have to end this conversation here, but I must thank you both for coming on the program tonight. It was important that we have this conversation so that we can have proper perspectives on that particular, so many speculations out there. Thank you so much, Wale Osaze Ozi, Attorney General, Edo State, and Tony Daniel is a lawyer at Political Affairs Analyst. Thank you so much for joining us on Politics Tonight.
Thank you for having me.